The galactic Concord chamber floated in the endless dark between stars. It was a massive station, built thousands of years ago by species long forgotten. Here, the rulers of 47 worlds gathered to decide the fate of civilizations. Today, they would decide the fate of Earth. High Arbiter Vithalan stood at the central podium. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 eyes that never blinked. His people, the Kefmari, had ruled the Dominion for 6,000 years. They knew how to handle problems. And humanity was a problem. Fellow members of the Concord, he began, his voice echoing through the vast chamber. I bring urgent news. The quarantined world in Sector 7G has exceeded all projections. The species called humans has become a threat. Murmurs spread through the assembly. Representatives from dozens of worlds shifted in their seats. Some had tentacles. Others had wings. A few existed as clouds of gas held in magnetic containers. But they all shared one thing: fear of the unknown. Verthalan waved his hand, and a hologram appeared above the chamber. It showed a small blue planet, spinning slowly in the light of a yellow sun. Earth, he said. We placed observation probes in their system 200 of their years ago. At that time, they were fighting wars with chemical explosives and had just discovered how to fly. Primitive, harmless. We expected them to destroy themselves within a century. He paused. His 4 eyes swept across the assembly. They did not destroy themselves. Instead, they split the atom. They walked on their moon. They sent machines to other planets. And last cycle, they launched their first vessel beyond their solar system. The chamber erupted in noise. Species shouted over each other. This was impossible. No race advanced this quickly. It took most civilizations 10,000 years to reach the stars. Humans had done it in less than 200. Verthalan raised his hand for silence. There is more. Their probe carried a message. Our linguist decoded it. He pressed a button, and a human voice filled the chamber. It spoke in Galactic Standard, the common language of all spacefaring races. We see you watching. Do not mistake patience for weakness. Silence fell like a hammer. The humans knew. They had known about the observation probes. And instead of reaching out in peace, they had sent a warning. Ambassador Velsara of the Vellani rose from her seat. Her people were peaceful, known for their diplomacy. High Arbiter, perhaps we should attempt contact. This message could be interpreted many ways. They may simply be cautious. Verthalan shook his head. We have studied their history, Ambassador. These creatures have spent their entire existence at war. They fight over resources. They fight over beliefs. They fight over the color of their skin. They do not know peace. They only know violence. Then they will destroy themselves, Velsara argued. We need only wait. We cannot wait. This voice came from the Chitrax representative, a massive insectoid creature with razor-sharp mandibles. His name was Kethron, and he commanded the largest military fleet in the Concord. My people have seen this pattern before. Fast-breeding species with aggressive tendencies do not burn out. They spread. They consume. They conquer. If we allow these humans to establish colonies beyond their system, we will never contain them. More voices joined the debate. Some agreed with the Vellani. Others supported the Chitrax. But slowly, the tide turned toward fear. The hologram showed images of human history, their wars, their weapons, their relentless expansion across their own planet. They had hunted other species to extinction. They had burned forests and poisoned oceans. What would they do to the galaxy? Through it all, the Orani delegation remained silent. They were the oldest race in the Concord, ancient beyond measure. Their elder, a withered female with silver skin and eyes like dying stars, simply watched. Finally, Verthalan called for order. We have debated enough. The Concord must act. I propose we authorize a combined pacification fleet. We will go to Earth. We will neutralize their military capacity. And we will bring them under Concord control before they become a threat we cannot stop. You mean invasion, Velsara said quietly. You mean war. I mean survival, Verthalin replied. The vote will now commence. All in favor of military action against the human homeworld? Lights began to glow across the chamber. Green for yes. Red for no. Blue for abstention. The Kethmari voted yes. The Chitrax voted yes. The Morvani, the Zelkoth, the Dreth, one by one, 31 species chose war. 12 voted no, including the Velai. 4 abstained. The Urani were among the abstentions. Verthalin smiled, showing rows of small, sharp teeth. The motion passes. I will personally oversee the formation of the fleet. 800 warships from 12 species. The largest armada assembled in 3,000 years. The humans will surrender or be destroyed. The assembly began to disperse. Representatives talked in small groups, some celebrating, others worried. Nobody noticed the Orani elder making her way toward the central podium. She reached Verthalin as he gathered his documents. "Hi, Arbiter," she said. Her voice was soft, like wind through dead leaves. "A moment of your time." He looked down at her with barely hidden contempt. The Orani were ancient, yes, but they had grown weak. They no longer expanded, no longer conquered. They simply existed. "Elder, your people abstained." "The decision is made." "I know, but I must speak." She stepped closer, and despite himself, Verthalin felt a chill. Her eyes held depths he could not understand. "We have watched that world for 10,000 years. Long before your dominion existed. Long before the Concord was formed. And we have seen them grow. We have seen them struggle and suffer and rise again. They are not like other species, High Arbiter. They do not follow the patterns." Verthalin snorted. "Patterns are for scientists. Ideal in power. And humans have none." The elder shook her head slowly. "You see a primitive world with no fleet and no defenses. You see easy prey." She leaned forward. "But we see something else. We see a species that has never stopped fighting. Not their enemies. Not their environment. Not even themselves. They do not know how to surrender. They do not understand defeat. Then they will learn. No." The elder's voice dropped to a whisper. "You have made a grave error. These humans are not prey. They are something else entirely. Something the galaxy has not seen before." Verthalin pulled away from her. "You are old, Elder. Old and afraid. The Concord has crushed 100 species. Humanity will be no different." He walked away, leaving her standing alone in the empty chamber. The Urani elder watched him go. Then she looked up at the hologram of Earth, still floating above the podium. Such a small world. Such a young species. "I am afraid," she whispered to the empty room. "But not for us." Far away, 800 warships began their preparations. Weapons were loaded. Soldiers were briefed. The fleet that would destroy humanity gathered like a storm. None of them knew they were flying toward their graves. 6 months had passed since the vote. The combined pacification fleet emerged from hyperspace beyond the orbit of Neptune, and Admiral Kethron felt satisfied. 800 warships hung in the darkness, their weapons ready, their crews eager. 12 species had contributed to this armada. The Chitrax alone had sent 200 vessels, each one capable of burning a city to ash in seconds. This would not be a war. It would be an execution. "Begin scanning the system," Kethron ordered from his command throne. His compound eyes reflected the light of 1,000 displays. "Find their defenses. The scans took 3 hours. When the results came back, his officers looked confused. Admiral, his second-in-command, reported, "We detect no orbital defense platforms. No military stations. No fleet." He paused, clicking his mandibles nervously. "They have satellites, communication arrays, mining operations on their moon and the fourth planet. But no weapons." Catherine leaned forward. "That is impossible. They knew we were watching. They sent us a warning. They must have prepared. We have scanned 7 times, Admiral. The results are the same. There is one ship, however. A single vessel holding position near the fourth planet. They're Mars. One ship?" "Yes, Admiral. It is crude, ugly. It appears to be armed, but its weapons are primitive. Kinetic projectiles and basic energy systems." Catherine sat back in his throne. He had conquered 11 worlds. He had crushed rebellions and burned civilizations to dust. And in all his years, he had never seen a species respond to invasion with a single ship. It had to be a trap. But where were the weapons? Where were the hidden fleets? "Send reconnaissance drones to every planet and moon," he ordered. "Search for hidden bases, underground facilities, anything." The drones spread across the solar system like insects. They scanned, they probed, they searched, and they found nothing but miners and scientists and families living ordinary lives. No weapons. No armies, no fleet. Admiral Catherine made his decision. "Move the fleet to Earth. If this is a trap, we will spring it and destroy whatever emerges. If it is not." He made a sound that passed for laughter among his species. "Then these humans are even more foolish than we believed." The Armada moved forward. 800 ships crossed the void between worlds, past the ringed giant and the red planet, toward the small blue world that held 8 billion souls. The single human vessel remained in their path. When the fleet was close enough, the ship broadcast a message. It spoke in perfect galactic standard, without accent or error. "This is United Earth Defense Vessel Prometheus. You have entered sovereign human space. State your intentions or withdraw." Catherine stared at the display showing the tiny ship. It was smaller than his shuttle. Its hull was scarred and patched. It looked like something a child had built from scrap metal. "One ship," he said. "They send one ship to face 800. He turned to his weapons officer. "Destroy it." The fleet opened fire. Thousands of energy beams lanced through space. Missiles streaked toward the Prometheus. Enough firepower to crack a moon converged on that single, ugly vessel. The Prometheus did not run. It did not fire back. It simply moved. The ship twisted and spun through the barrage like water flowing around stones. It accelerated in ways that should have killed any crew. It changed direction without slowing, without any visible thrust. The fleet's targeting computers tried to track it, but their predictions were always wrong. The ship never went where it should go, and then it vanished. Not into hyperspace. There was no energy signature, no tear in reality. The Prometheus simply was not there anymore. "Where did it go?" Catherine demanded. "Find it." "We cannot, Admiral. It is gone. Our sensors show nothing." For the first time since leaving Concorde space, Admiral Catherine felt doubt. That ship had moved in ways his computers could not understand. It had disappeared using technology his scientists could not explain. What else did the humans have? But doubt was weakness, and weakness meant death. He pushed the feeling aside. "Continue to Earth. If they have more surprises, we will face them. We have 800 ships. They have none." The fleet reached Earth orbit 3 days later. The planet turned below them, blue and green and white. Clouds swirled over oceans. Lights glittered on the night side, marking cities where millions lived and worked and dreamed. "Admiral." Catherine looked down at it and felt nothing. Open communications to the Concorde. he ordered. "Inform High Arbiter Varthalin that we have arrived. The humans have no defenses. Their world is ours." The message was sent. Celebrations began on dozens of worlds. The human threat would soon be ended. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a bunker built to survive the end of the world, Secretary General Amara Okonkwo watched the alien fleet spread across the sky. She was 63 years old, with gray hair and steady hands. She had led humanity through 3 crises. This would be her last dot. Around her stood generals and admirals from every nation on Earth. They had put aside their differences decades ago, when the first observation probes were discovered. Every conflict since then had been theater, a show for the watchers in the sky. In secret, humanity had united for the first time in its history. "They brought 800 ships," General Chun reported. His voice was calm, but his hands were shaking. "Our evacuation is 87% complete. The cities are mostly empty. Decoys are in place." Okonkwo nodded. "The Prometheus?" "Safe. Captain Rodriguez reports the stealth systems worked perfectly. They have no idea where she went." "Good. Good." Okonkwo looked at the screen showing the alien fleet. So many ships, so much firepower. They had come to destroy humanity, confident in their strength. They had no idea what they were walking into. "They will begin bombardment soon," she said. "They will destroy our cities. They will think they are winning." She turned to face her commanders. "Let them think that. Let them celebrate. And when they are drunk on victory, we will teach them what humanity really is." She walked to a console in the center of the room. A single button glowed red, covered by a plastic shield. The words above it read, "Contingency, Lazarus." "For 78 years, we have prepared for this moment," she said. "Every satellite they ignored is a weapon. Every cargo ship they scanned carried soldiers. Every piece of debris floating in our system hides a surprise." She lifted the shield. "They brought an army to destroy us." Her finger hovered over the button. "Good. I was worried we would have to hunt them down." She pressed it. Across the solar system, sleeping systems woke up. Hidden programs activated. Airlocks on alien ships received new commands. And in the dark spaces between planets, thousands of small pods began to move toward the fleet. The invasion of Earth had begun, but so had humanity's response. Admiral Kethron ordered the bombardment to start, and fire rained from the sky. Cities burned, mountains shattered. 12 million humans died in the first hour. The aliens celebrated their easy victory. They did not notice the first ship losing navigation control. They did not see the soldiers crawling through their ventilation systems. They did not realize they were already dead. The trap was closing, and there was no escape. The bombardment had been going on for 6 hours when the first ship went dark. It was a Kethmari destroyer, positioned at the edge of the fleet. One moment it was firing on a coastal city. The next, every light on the vessel went out. Every system failed. The ship drifted, silent and dead, while its crew screamed into communicators that no longer worked. Admiral Kethran received the report with annoyance. "A malfunction. Send engineers to repair it." But before the engineers could launch, 2 more ships went dark. Then 5, then 20. "Admiral!" His second-in-command rushed to his throne, compound eyes wide with fear. "Something is wrong. Ships across the fleet are reporting system failures. Navigation errors. Airlocks are opening without command. We are losing vessels." Kethron stood. "Show me." The main display flickered, and he saw chaos. Dozens of ships were spinning out of control, their crews fighting systems that no longer obeyed them. Others had stopped firing, their weapons locked. And on several vessels, the internal atmosphere was venting into space, killing everyone aboard. "What is happening?" he demanded. "We do not know, Admiral. Our technicians say there is something in our computers. A program. It is spreading through every network system. The humans. The satellites. Those primitive communication arrays the fleet had ignored. They had been uploading something since the Armada arrived. Sleeper programs, hidden in routine transmissions, waiting for the signal to wake up." Kethron understood now. The humans had not built orbital defenses. They had built something worse. They had turned the fleet's own technology into a weapon. "Cut all network connections," he shouted. "Isolate every ship. Do it now." But it was too late. The programs had spread too far. And worse was coming. On the destroyer Craxus, Commander Vethner was trying to restore control of his vessel when the cargo bay door opened. He checked the sensors. Nothing there. Just empty space. Then the first human stepped out of the shadows. He was small compared to a Chitrax. Soft skin, no claws. No armor. He wore a simple suit and carried a weapon that looked like a metal tube. Vethner laughed. "A human? On my ship? How did you—" The human raised his weapon and fired. The round punched through Vethner's exoskeleton like paper. He fell, green blood spreading across the floor. More humans emerged from the cargo bay. Dozens of them. They've been hiding in pods that looked like debris, launched weeks before the fleet arrived, drifting in space until the invasion began. Now they spread through the ship like a disease. They did not fight the way civilized species fought. There was no formation, no strategy the Chitrax computers could predict. They moved in small groups, communicating with hand signals and whispers. They used chemical explosives that tore through walls. They sealed compartments and cut life support. They set traps that killed anyone who came to investigate, and they were on every ship. Admiral Kethron watched his fleet die from the inside. Reports flooded in human soldiers aboard the Throne of Stars. Human saboteurs in the engine room of the Valkyrie Revenge. Human assassins hunting officers through the corridors of the Morning Blade. "How many?" he asked, his voice hollow. "How many of them are there?" "We estimate 3,000 to 4,000, Admiral. They were hiding in every piece of debris we ignored, every asteroid we passed, every satellite we dismissed as primitive. 3,000 humans against 800 ships. It should have been nothing. But these humans did not know they were supposed to lose. On the destroyer Craxus, the last Chitrax warrior faced the last human soldier. The warrior was wounded, missing 2 legs, but still dangerous. The human was worse, bleeding from a dozen cuts, one arm hanging useless at his side. "Surrender," the Chitrax hissed. "You cannot win. More fleets will come. We will burn your world to ash." The human smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "Maybe," he said, "but you won't see it." He pulled something from his vest. A small device with a blinking red light. The Chitrax understood. "No, wait." The explosion tore through the ship's reactor. The Craxus broke apart in a ball of fire, taking both warriors with it. Across the fleet, humans were doing the same thing. When they could not win, they made sure the enemy lost too. They died with grenades in their hands, with smiles on their faces, with curses on their lips. They did not surrender. They did not run. They fought until there was nothing left to fight with. Admiral Kethron watched his command display turn red with destroyed ships. He had lost 200 vessels in 4 hours. Not to weapons fire, not to enemy fleets, to 3,000 humans with bombs and guns and the refusal to accept defeat. "Admiral," his navigator said quietly, "our systems are compromised. Navigation is plotting a course toward the sun." Kethron closed his eyes. The humans had won, not through strength, through preparation, through patience, through a willingness to sacrifice everything. "Can you correct the course?" I am trying, Admiral. But the program keeps changing. It learns. It adapts. Then we must abandon ship. All ships with functional shuttles will evacuate. We will retreat, and a new signal appeared on his display. Incoming vessels. Hundreds of them. The Prometheus emerged from nothing, joined by 200 more ships that rose from hidden bases beneath the moons and planets the fleet had scanned and dismissed. Human ships. Ugly, brutal, beautiful human ships. They opened fire. Secretary General Okonkwo watched the battle from her bunker. The screens showed human vessels tearing through what remained of the alien fleet. The invaders had no coordination anymore. Their networks were corrupted. Their crews were fighting fires and boarding parties. They were helpless. The Admiral's flagship is trying to escape, General Chun reported. Should we pursue? Capture it, Okonkwo said. I want prisoners. I want their star charts. I want everything they know. Yes, ma'am. She stood and walked to the main display. Earth hung in space, scarred but alive. The cities were burning, yes. 12 million people were dead. But 8 billion remained. And the fleet that had come to destroy them was dying. She opened a channel to the alien vessels. Attention, Concord Fleet. This is Secretary General Amara Okonkwo of United Earth. You came to destroy us. We understand. But you need to understand something too. She paused, watching the last alien ships struggle against their own corrupted systems. We've been preparing for you since we first saw your observation probes in 1947. 78 years. 3 generations. We knew you would come eventually. We knew you would underestimate us. We were counting on it. On the flagship, Admiral Kethron listened to her voice through speakers he could not turn off. This is not a war, she continued. This is a lesson. You killed 12 million of my people in your opening bombardment. Children, elders, families who trusted us to protect them. Remember that number, Admiral. Because we will. The human ship surrounded the flagship. Boarding tubes extended. Catherine heard the sound of cutting tools against his hull. You are going to tell us everything, Okonkwo said. The location of your worlds, the strength of your fleets, the names of every species that voted for our destruction. And then we are going to pay them a visit. The Admiral reached for his sidearm. Better to die than be captured. It was not there. One of the humans had already taken it. He looked up to find a woman standing in front of him, small, soft, smiling. Hello, Admiral, she said. My name is Captain Rodriguez. I believe you tried to kill my ship earlier. She gestured to the soldiers behind her. Take him, gently. We have questions, and he has answers. As they dragged him away, Kethron finally understood what the Orani elder had tried to tell him. These humans were not prey. They were predators, and the galaxy had just made itself their hunting ground. The battle lasted 72 hours. When it ended, the greatest fleet in galactic history had become a graveyard. Of 800 ships, only 83 remained functional. Most of those had surrendered after watching their sister vessels torn apart by human weapons or consumed by human boarding parties. The rest drifted without power, their crews dead or dying, their computers corrupted beyond repair. Admiral Kethron sat in a human prison cell, alone with his failure. They had not tortured him. They had not needed to. They had simply shown him recordings of the battle, letting him watch his fleet die over and over again. Now they wanted information. Star charts, fleet positions, political structures, the names of every species that had voted to destroy Earth. He had refused at first. A warrior did not betray his people. Then they showed him what they had found in the captured ships' databases. Records of other invasions. other primitive species that the Concord had crushed. Images of burning cities and mass graves and survivors sold into slavery. "You have done this before," the human interrogator said. She was an older woman with kind eyes and a patient voice. 17 times, according to your records. 17 species that showed promise. 17 civilizations that might have threatened Concord dominance. Kethron said nothing. The Velith, the Morani, the crystalline mines of Proxima. She read the names like a funeral list. All gone, extinct, erased from history. She looked up at him. "Did you think no one would ever do the same to you?" He still said nothing. But when she left, he found himself staring at the wall, remembering faces he had tried to forget. Across the Sol system, humanity was mobilizing. The secret shipyards that had hidden beneath Luna and Mars and Europa were working at full capacity. Every day, new vessels joined the growing fleet. Ugly ships. Brutal ships. Ships designed not for exploration or trade, but for war. They crewed them with volunteers. There was no shortage. 8 billion humans had watched their cities burn. 12 million had died in the opening hours. Every family had lost someone. Every heart held anger that needed an outlet. Secretary General Okonkwo addressed the United Earth Assembly 1 week after the invasion. "We have won the first battle," she said. "But it is only the beginning. The Concord will send more fleets. They will try again and again until they destroy us or we destroy them." She paused. "I choose destruction. Not ours. Theirs." The assembly voted unanimously for war. The human fleet departed 3 weeks later. 2,000 ships carrying 500,000 soldiers. They used the star charts taken from Admiral Kethron's flagship. They knew exactly where to go. The Concord received warning of the approaching fleet, but they did not believe it. The humans had no FTL technology. Their ships were primitive. It would take them centuries to reach Concord space. The human ships arrived in 6 days. They dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Chitrak's home system, and they did not stop to talk. They burned through the defensive fleet like fire through paper. They smashed orbital stations. They destroyed shipyards that had taken centuries to build. They landed troops on the warrior moon of Kethver and killed everything that resisted. And they broadcast everything back to Earth, where billions watched their revenge unfold. The Concord assembled an emergency session. High Arbiter Varthalane stood at the podium, his gray face pale with shock. "They are attacking Chitrak's Prime," he announced. "Our fastest ships cannot intercept them. Our communications are being jammed. We do not know how many vessels they have or where they will strike next." "Send reinforcements," someone shouted. "Send everything we have." Verdalen nodded. "I am authorizing the mobilization of all Concord military forces. Every ship, every soldier. We will crush this human fleet." And then the lights went out. When they came back on, every display in the chamber showed the same image. A human woman with gray hair and steady eyes. Secretary General Okonkwo. "You voted to exterminate us," she said. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. 31 species said yes. "You killed 12 million of my people in your opening bombardment. Children, High Arbiter, elders. Families who trusted us to protect them." Verthalen tried to shut off the transmission. Nothing worked. "So let me be clear," Okonkwo continued. "There will be no negotiation. No surrender accepted. No mercy given. You sent 800 ships to destroy humanity. We will return the favor. With interest." The transmission ended. The lights went out again. When they returned, the Orani elder was standing at the central podium. No one had seen her move. "We warned you," she said. Her voice was soft, but it carried through the silent chamber. "We told you what they were. You did not listen. Verthalin found his voice. This is not possible. They cannot have reached Chitrak space so quickly. They cannot have technology we do not understand. They are primitives. They were primitives, the elder corrected. 78 years ago, when you placed your first probes in their system. But they knew you were watching. They prepared. They advanced. They built ships and weapons and soldiers, while you dismissed them as harmless. She walked toward Verthalin, and despite his size, he found himself backing away. We have watched that world for 10,000 years, she said. We have seen them survive ice ages and plagues and wars that should have ended them. They do not give up. They do not surrender. They adapt. They overcome. And when something hurts them, she stopped directly in front of him. They hurt it back. 1,000 times worse. What do we do? Someone asked from the assembly. How do we stop them? The elder turned to face the chamber. You do not stop them. You cannot. You made yourselves their enemy, and humans do not forget their enemies. She paused. But perhaps, if you are very lucky, you can survive them. How? By giving them what they want. Justice. Accountability. The ones who voted for invasion must answer for their choice. The species that send ships must pay for their crimes. She looked at Verthalin. Starting with you, High Arbiter. Verthalin straightened. I am the leader of the Kethmari Dominion. I do not answer to primitives. Then your dominion will burn. The elder's voice held no threat, only certainty. As the Chitraks are burning now. As every species that voted yes will burn. The humans are coming, High Arbiter. All of them. And they will not stop until they have their revenge or until they are dead. She turned and walked toward the exit. Wait, Verthalin called. You know them. You have watched them. Tell us their weakness. Tell us how to defeat them. The elder stopped at the door. She looked back at him with eyes that held 10,000 years of memory. Their weakness? She almost smiled. They love too much. They feel too deeply. They form bonds with each other that make them do irrational things. She paused. But that is also their strength. They will die for their families. They will sacrifice everything for their people. And they will never, ever forgive those who harm the ones they love. She opened the door. You killed 12 million of them. High Arbiter, mothers, fathers, children. And now you ask me how to defeat them? She shook her head slowly. There is no defeating them. There is only praying that when they are done, something remains. She left. The chamber erupted in chaos. Outside, in the space between stars, the first human ships arrived in Concord space. They were not there to talk. They were not there to negotiate. They were there to teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. And the lesson had only just begun. 6 months after the invasion of Earth, the Galactic Concord ceased to exist, that it did not fall in a single battle. It died slowly, piece by piece, as human fleets moved through the stars like a fire spreading through dry forest. They did not conquer. They did not enslave. But they were thorough, terribly, methodically thorough. Every species that had voted yes lost its military. Shipyards burned across 100 worlds. Weapons factories were dismantled. Military academies were occupied, and their students sent home with a simple message. Never again. The Chitraks fought the hardest. Their warrior caste refused to surrender, even as their fleets crumbled. They believed death in battle was better than shame. The humans gave them death in battle. So much death that the Chitraks' homeworld was blockaded for 3 months while the survivors negotiated terms. When the blockade lifted, the Chitraks had no warriors left. Only workers and builders and artists who had hidden in tunnels while their soldiers died above. The humans helped them rebuild, but they never forgot what the Chitraks had done. Neither did the Chitraks, the Villani, who had voted against invasion, were left alone. Human ambassadors arrived with gifts and apologies for the disruption. Trade agreements were signed. Cultural exchanges began. Within a year, Volani ships were welcome in human space. And human music played in Volani concert halls. It was the species that had voted yes who suffered. The Kethmari Dominion received special attention. High Arbiter Vothalan had started this. His people had championed the invasion. Human forces landed on their capital world not as conquerors, but as something worse. They came as students. For months, human researchers studied Kethmari history. They learned the language. They read the literature. They visited museums and temples and ancient ruins. They broadcast everything they found to the galaxy, celebrating Kethmari, art and philosophy, and science. Then they unsealed the archives. Every civilization has secrets it wants to forget. The Kethmari had more than most. Records of 17 primitive species that had been discovered, studied, and eliminated. Surveillance footage of massacres. Communications between admirals discussing the most efficient methods of extinction. Evidence that the Concord had not just failed to protect developing civilizations, it had actively hunted them. The galaxy watched in horror. Species that had believed themselves civilized saw what their government had done in their name. Protests erupted on 100 worlds. The Concord's legitimacy, already damaged by the failed invasion, collapsed completely. But the humans were not finished. On a small moon in a forgotten system, they found survivors. Not many. A few thousand members of species the Concord had tried to erase. They had been living in refugee camps for generations, hidden from the galaxy that had abandoned them. The humans brought them to the Kethmari capital. They built a courtroom. They gathered evidence. And they put High Arbiter Vothalan on trial, not humans judging him. The survivors. Vothalan faced the descendants of people his government had murdered. He looked into eyes that burned with generations of grief and rage. He heard testimony about worlds burned and families scattered and cultures erased. The trial lasted 2 weeks. The verdict took 5 minutes. Guilty, on all counts. The sentence was not decided by humans. They had made that clear from the beginning. This was not their justice to give. They handed Vothalan to the survivors and looked away. What happened next was never recorded. The screaming lasted a long time. 1 year after the invasion of Earth, Secretary General Okonkwo addressed the reformed Galactic Assembly. It met in a new station built by human engineers orbiting a neutral world. Every surviving species sent representatives. The Orani elder sat in the front row, her ancient eyes fixed on the human leader. Okonkwo looked older than she had a year ago. Gray had become white. Lines had deepened into grooves. She had carried the weight of humanity's survival and humanity's revenge, and it had cost her, but her voice was steady. "You feared us because we were different," she began. "Because we grew fast and fought hard and did not bow to your rules. You were right to fear us." The assembly was silent. Some representatives could not meet her eyes. "But not because we wanted to conquer you. We never wanted that. We wanted to explore, to learn, to join the community of civilizations and contribute what we could." She paused. "You did not give us that chance. You voted to destroy us instead." She looked at the empty seats where the Kethmari delegation should have sat. Their government had collapsed. Their people were rebuilding under human supervision. It would be generations before they were trusted again. "So we taught you a lesson. A hard lesson. A bloody lesson. We are not proud of what we did. We are not ashamed either. You attacked our home. You killed our children. We responded the only way we knew how." She turned to face the Orani elder directly. "But we are not your rulers. We have no interest in empire. We did not fight to dominate. We fought to survive, and then we fought for justice. Now both are achieved. The elder nodded slowly, acknowledging words she had waited 1,000 years to hear. The Concord is gone, Okonkwo continued. Good. It was built on lies and maintained by fear. This assembly is something new. Something better, we hope. We will help you build it. We will share our technology and our knowledge and our strength. But we will also watch. Her voice hardened. If any species in this assembly votes to attack the weak, to destroy the primitive, to exterminate those who cannot fight back, we will know. And we will respond. Not because we want war, because we remember what it is like to be the prey. She stepped back from the podium. The council voted for Earth's invasion. Now the council is gone. Its leaders are dead or imprisoned. Its fleets are dust. Its legacy is shame. She looked across the assembly, meeting every pair of eyes, every sensor cluster, every nervous face. Learn from this. Do better. Because humanity has a long memory, and we never forgive those who harm the innocent. She sat down. The chamber remained silent for a long moment. Then the Orani elder rose. I have lived for 10,000 years, she said. Her voice was barely a whisper, but somehow it filled the room. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have watched species evolve and vanish. In all that time, I have never seen anything like humanity. She looked at Okonkwo with something that might have been respect. They are not the strongest species. They are not the oldest. They are not the wisest. But they are something else. Something unique. She paused. They remember everything, every kindness, every injury, every friend and every enemy. They hold it all in their hearts, and they never let go. She turned to face the assembly. Be kind to them, and they will be kind to you. Trade with them, and you will prosper. Befriend them, and they will die for you. Her voice dropped. But harm them, threaten them, hurt the ones they love, and they will burn everything you have built and dance in the ashes. She sat down. The assembly began to disperse. Representatives hurried to shuttles, eager to return to their own worlds and report what they had seen. The humans had won. More than that, they had changed the galaxy forever. As the chamber emptied, the Orani elder approached Secretary General Okonkwo. You did well, she said quietly. Better than I expected. Okonkwo looked at her with tired eyes. We did what we had to do. Yes, and now? Now we rest. We rebuild. We mourn our dead and raise our children and try to become something better than what the Concord forced us to be. She paused. We wanted to be explorers, scientists, artists. We dreamed of the stars and what we might find there. And instead you found us. Instead we found enemies. Okonkwo smiled sadly. But also friends. The Villani. The others who voted no. Even you, Elder. You tried to warn them. The Elder inclined her head. I did. They did not listen. No, they never do. Okonkwo stood, preparing to leave. But maybe the next generation will. Maybe in 1,000 years, there will be a galaxy where species help each other instead of hunting each other. Where primitive civilizations are protected, not destroyed. Do you believe that? Okonkwo considered the question for a long moment. I have to, she said finally. Because if I do not, then all of this, the war, the death, the revenge, it means nothing. We become just another empire, ruling through fear. She shook her head. I refuse to accept that. Humanity is better than that. We have to be. She walked toward the exit, leaving the elder alone in the empty chamber. For a long time, the ancient Orani stood in silence, thinking about the strange, fierce, loving, terrible species called humanity. Then she smiled. Yes, she whispered to the empty room. Perhaps you are. Far away, on 100 worlds, Elders told their children about what had happened to Earth. They described the invasion and the trap and the revenge that followed. They spoke of human ships burning through the stars, and human soldiers who never surrendered, and a human leader who had looked at the galaxy and demanded justice. And when young ones asked if they should fear the humans, the elders always gave the same answer. Fear them? No, the humans are not monsters. They are builders and dreamers and explorers. The elders would pause, remembering, but never harm them, never threaten them, never hurt the ones they love. Because if you do, the children would lean forward, waiting. They will remember, and they will come, and they will make you regret the day you were born. 1,000 years later, when species argued for war against the weak, elders would silence.